Hey, have you ever heard about memory paradox? Let's have a thought experiment about it. Have you ever thought about how your memories shape who you are? What if I told you that those vivid, crystal clear recollections might not be as reliable as you think? Memory is one of the most powerful, yet mysterious aspects of our minds. But it's also surprisingly flawed. Our memories can be altered, distorted, or even completely fabricated. In this video, we're diving into the fascinating paradox of memory. How it works, how it fails, and the big questions about what it means for our identity and the truth itself. Let's explore the weird, sometimes unreliable world inside our heads. Have you ever had a memory that felt so vivid, so real, but later found out it never happened? Well, brace yourself, because your brain might be playing tricks on you. In today's video, we're diving into the world of false memories, where the line between reality and imagination gets blurry. False memories are fascinating and a bit terrifying. Imagine recalling an entire event, something from your childhood, that feels so familiar, only to find out it never actually took place. Sounds crazy, right? But it happens more often than you think. And it's not just about personal memories. False memories have massive implications, especially when it comes to things like eyewitness testimony in court. Picture this. A witness confidently testifies to something they saw. But what if their memory is a complete fabrication? Research shows we can be 100% convinced we remember something, when, in reality, it never happened. Memories aren't like video recordings. They're reconstructive. Each time we recall an event, we're not playing back a perfect copy. We're piecing it together from fragments, and sometimes those pieces get mixed up, or even invented. False memories can develop over time, shaped by suggestions, emotions, or even just the act of recalling the event. So how can we trust our memories when they're so easily distorted? And if false memories can change the course of justice, what does that say about how much we rely on our own recollections to understand the world around us? Memory is powerful, but it's also fragile. Our memories shape who we are, but they can also deceive us. The next time you're sure you remember something, ask yourself, is it real? Or is it just your mind filling in the blanks? Think about your favorite childhood memory. Maybe a family trip, a special birthday, or a moment with a close friend. Now, what if I told you that memory isn't as solid as you think? It's not like a videotape you can play back. In fact, your memory is more like a puzzle that you constantly piece together each time you recall it. Memory is reconstructive. That means every time you remember something, your brain is actively rebuilding that memory, not just replaying it like a movie. And here's the crazy part. This reconstruction process isn't perfect. It can change, adapt, and even distort over time. When we recall a memory, our brain pulls together fragments, pieces of what we experienced, along with details we think are relevant. But as we do this, things can slip in. Our emotions, biases, and even outside influences can alter how we remember events. The result? A memory that feels real, but might not be completely accurate. Have you ever been in a group, experiencing the same event, but when it's over, everyone remembers it a little differently? Maybe you all went to the same concert or shared a holiday together, but when you talk about it, each of you describes something unique. It's not that anyone's lying. It's just that we each experience the world in our own way. Our brains filter everything through our senses, our emotions, and even our past experiences. And even if we're in the same place, at the same time, no two people are going to process things exactly the same. Take a group of friends at a concert. One person might remember the music, feeling every beat. Another person might have been focused on the crowd, the excitement around them. And someone else might have been lost in their thoughts, not even fully engaging with the performance. You all experienced the same event, but through different lenses. And because we can never fully step into someone else's shoes, our collective memories of an experience can end up being as varied as the people in the group. We might all remember the event differently, not just in terms of details, but in terms of the emotions or significance we attach to it. So while groups can share experiences, the memories they form are never exactly the same. In the end, even when we experience something together, we're still experiencing the world from our own unique perspective. Researchers argue that this very process of reconstruction is what leads to false memories. It's not that you're lying or making things up intentionally. Your brain genuinely believes what it's putting together, but the more we reconstruct our memories, the more they can be distorted. This idea of memory being reconstructive has big implications, especially in legal settings. Imagine an eyewitness recalling a crime they witnessed. If their memory is reconstructed over time, influenced by conversations, emotions, or media reports, the details they remember could be wildly inaccurate, and they may still be confident they're telling the truth. It challenges everything we think we know about our own experiences. We rely on our memories to guide us through life, to define who we are, and to make sense of the world. But if our memories are constantly changing, how much can we really trust them? Have you ever had an experience that left you feeling so emotional you could remember it in vivid detail years later? Maybe it was a heartbreaking loss, a moment of pure joy, or an intense argument. Emotion has a powerful way of etching memories into our minds, but here's the catch. Does it make those memories more accurate, or does it cloud the truth? Emotional memories tend to stick with us. In fact, research shows that we remember emotionally charged events with much more clarity and detail than neutral ones. The more intense the emotion, whether it's fear, joy, or sadness, the more likely we are to recall the moment as though it happened yesterday. So why is that? When we experience something emotional, our brain releases chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol, which help us encode those memories more deeply. It's like our brain is saying, "This is important, I need to remember this." But while this emotional boost makes memories more vivid, it doesn't always mean they're more accurate. For example, think about a traumatic event, maybe a car accident, or a deeply painful loss. It's common to remember every detail so clearly, the sounds, the feelings, even the weather at the time. But what if some of those details are distorted by the emotion itself? Studies suggest that while intense emotions make memories more vivid, they don't necessarily make them more reliable. Some psychologists argue that emotion can actually distort our memories. When we're overwhelmed by emotion, especially negative emotions like fear or anger, our brain can focus on specific details, sometimes at the expense of the bigger picture. For example, you might vividly remember the sound of a car screeching during an accident, but forget important details like what color the car was, or even what happened immediately after. Who are you really? What makes you, you? For most of us, our memories are central to answering that questions. They help us make sense of who we were, who we are now, and who we're becoming. But what if those memories aren't as reliable as we think? What if, over time, they change, fade, or even become completely distorted? Think about this. If your memories are altered, whether by time, emotion, or simple mistakes, can you still be the same person you were? If parts of your past, the very experiences that shape your identity, are being rewritten or lost, does that change who you are today? Some philosophers argue that memory is crucial for continuity, the thread that connects our past selves to the present. Without that, they say, how can we truly claim to be the same person? But what happens when that thread frays? If memory is unreliable, does it mean we lose our sense of self? Can we still be us if our memories are incomplete or altered? At the core of this idea is a fascinating question. If our memories change or fade over time, can we still trust them to define us? Are we the same person we were a decade ago? Or is our identity in constant flux, shaped by new memories and lost ones? Maybe our sense of self isn't as fixed as we think. It's fluid, evolving with each passing year. So if memory shapes who we are, what happens when those memories are no longer as solid as we believe? Does our identity become less about remembering the past and more about how we choose to live in the present? Maybe, in the end, we're not defined by what we remember, but by how we continue to grow and adapt. Let's see another perspective on this. Ever watched a movie that left you so emotionally moved that days or even weeks later, it feels like you actually lived the story? Maybe it's a romance, a drama, or an intense personal journey. The characters' experiences feel so relatable, so real, that the lines between fiction and your own memories start to blur. This phenomenon is more common than you might think. Our brains are wired to connect with stories, especially ones that tap into our emotions or personal experiences. When a movie hits close to home, the feelings and events in it can feel so real that, over time, they can become a part of our memory, even if they never actually happened. At times, it's hard to separate the two, what actually happened in your life and what happened on screen. So what does that mean for our memories? If something feels real, does it matter whether it actually happened? Or is the emotional impact enough to make it part of our personal narrative? Ever wonder why we need sleep? It's not just about resting. It might be when our brains are busy doing some of their most important work. One of the big questions in neuroscience is how and why sleep helps solidify our memories. Is sleep a time to reinforce what we've learned? Or is it a chance for the brain to clear out unnecessary information? Some researchers believe that during sleep, our brain consolidates memories. That means it takes the experiences of the day, strengthens them, and stores them for the long term. In a sense, sleep is like the brain's filing system, making sure important memories stay, while less significant ones fade away. It's why a good night's sleep can make all the difference when you're trying to learn something new. Whether you're cramming for an exam or practicing a skill, the sleep that follows is key to locking in what you've learned. But it's not just about learning new things. Sleep also plays a crucial role in how we process emotional experiences, like trauma. Some studies suggest that sleep helps us cope with stress by organizing and processing our emotional memories, potentially helping us heal after difficult experiences. On the flip side, some theories suggest that sleep might actually help us discard unimportant or irrelevant memories. Our brains may use sleep as a way to filter out the clutter, letting go of information that we no longer need, while keeping what's most meaningful. Imagine a future where we can enhance our memories, or even upload them directly into our minds. With advancements in neurotechnology, it's becoming more than just science fiction. From improving memory retention to erasing traumatic experiences, the possibilities seem endless. But with this power comes a big question. Should we even be tampering with our memories in the first place? Technology has already made huge strides in understanding how memories are formed and how they might be improved. Imagine having a device that could help you remember more clearly, learn faster, or even store your memories in a digital format, ready to be accessed at any time. And what about erasing memories? Could we wipe away painful experiences like trauma or regret to give people a fresh start? In theory, these technologies could revolutionize mental health, but it's not without controversy. Here's the catch. If we can manipulate memories, whether enhancing or erasing them, what does that mean for our sense of self? Memories are a core part of who we are. If we start altering them, do we risk losing touch with who we really are? And if we erase painful memories, are we also erasing the lessons they taught us? Plus, there are big ethical questions. Who decides what memories should be enhanced or erased? Could memory manipulation be used for control or exploitation? With great power comes great responsibility, and the line between helping and harming could be dangerously thin. Ever heard of the memory palace? It's an ancient technique where you use spatial memory, imagining a familiar space, like your home or a grand palace, to store and organize information. By mentally placing pieces of information in different rooms or locations, you can recall them with stunning accuracy. But how far can this technique take us? Could it lead to the development of cognitive enhancements that make human memory more reliable than ever? The memory palace technique, also known as the method of loci, dates back to ancient Greece and Rome. It's been used by memory champions and even monks to memorize vast amounts of information. But what's amazing is that modern research shows it works, and it's not just for the experts. With practice, anyone can use spatial memory to enhance recall, remembering lists, speeches, or even entire books. Imagine taking this technique further. What if we could use it to boost our memory capacity in ways we've never dreamed of? Could cognitive enhancements make our brains more like a super-efficient memory palace, allowing us to store and retrieve information with near-perfect accuracy? Some scientists are exploring whether we can push human memory beyond its natural limits. By training our brains with techniques like the memory palace, combined with emerging neurotechnologies, we might be able to unlock cognitive abilities that seem almost superhuman. What if memory-enhancing devices, or even genetic enhancements, could take this concept to the next level? But as with any breakthrough, there are questions. How much is too much? Could enhancing memory to this degree change who we are, or even our perception of reality? Would an ultra-reliable memory still be authentic, or would it be more like storing data in a computer? The idea of cognitive enhancement through techniques like the memory palace is both exciting and a little intimidating. As we explore the future of memory, one thing is clear. How far we push the boundaries of memory could fundamentally change the way we experience the world. Ever tried to remember something, maybe a name or a fact, and it feels like it's just slipping through your fingers? Well, you're not alone. Memory decay is a natural part of how we process information, and psychologists like Ebbinghaus have been studying this phenomenon for over a century. Ebbinghaus discovered what's known as the forgetting curve. It shows how our memory of new information drops dramatically in the first few hours or days after learning it, then tapers off over time. In simple terms, if we don't actively work to remember something, we're likely to forget it. But what exactly causes this forgetting? Is it just the passage of time? Or is it something more? Some psychologists suggest that it's a combination of factors. Lack of retrieval, meaning we don't try to recall the information enough, or interference from other memories that make it harder to remember one thing over another. Take, for example, trying to remember a phone number but getting mixed up with another number you've learned recently. This is called interference, when new memories disrupt old ones. It shows how our minds prioritize certain information and how easily memories can get tangled. So how do we decide what's worth remembering and what isn't? Our brains seem to play a role in deciding, filtering out information that isn't deemed important, while strengthening the memories we revisit or that carry emotional significance. That's why certain memories, like a childhood experience or a major life event, stay with us. They're tied to strong emotions, or we simply think about them more often. On the other hand, fleeting moments or facts we don't revisit regularly fade away. Memory decay and forgetting are natural, but they also raise important questions. How much control do we have over what we remember? And how do we ensure the things we want to hold on to don't slip away? As we get older, it's common to forget things, whether it's a name, a phone number, or why you walked into a room. But what's really happening in our brains as we age? And how does this normal forgetfulness differ from more serious conditions like dementia or Alzheimer's? As we age, our brains undergo changes. Some of these changes are perfectly normal. Our memory may not be as sharp, and it can take longer to recall information. This is because our brain's hippocampus, which helps us form new memories, shrinks slightly over time, making it harder to store fresh information. Occasionally, forgetting a name or a fact is usually just part of growing older. However, if memory loss starts to interfere with daily life, it could signal something more serious, like dementia or Alzheimer's disease. In Alzheimer's, for instance, plaques and tangles begin to form in the brain, disrupting communication between neurons. This leads to memory loss that goes beyond normal aging, like forgetting how to do everyday tasks, losing track of time, or getting confused about familiar places. One of the key differences between normal aging and Alzheimer's is how the memory is affected. While age-related forgetfulness often impacts recent memories or facts, Alzheimer's typically starts with long-term memory loss and can affect your sense of identity. However, not all aging brains will experience significant memory loss. Studies show that staying mentally active, socially engaged, and physically healthy can help preserve memory. Engaging in activities like puzzles, reading, and even just talking with others can stimulate the brain and help maintain cognitive function. Ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you're there? It's frustrating, right? But the issue might not be your memory, it could be your attention. Memory isn't just about what we see or experience, it's about what we focus on. Our brains are constantly bombarded with information, but we can't remember everything. The more attention we pay to something, the more likely it is to stick in our memory. Think about the last time you had a conversation in a crowded, noisy place. You might have missed key details because your attention was split between the person you were talking to and the distractions around you. When we focus, our brains have a better chance of encoding that information. The hippocampus, a key part of our memory system, needs attention in order to store and retrieve memories effectively. If we're not fully engaged, the information often never makes it into long-term memory. That's why studying or learning something new is easier when we can give it our full attention. The more effort we put into focusing on something, the stronger the memory trace becomes. On the flip side, if we're distracted or multitasking, those memories might be weaker or harder to recall later. Sometimes, it's not that we forget, it's that we never really encoded the memory in the first place. If we don't give information our full attention, our brain simply doesn't process it as something important to remember. So as we've seen today, memory isn't as reliable as we often think. Whether it's false memories shaping our relationships, our self-image, or even the way we see the world, it's a reminder that our minds aren't perfect. But that doesn't make our memories any less valuable. They help us shape our past, our future, and everything in between. If you've ever questioned your own memories, or if you've noticed how easily our perceptions can shift, you're not alone. It's all part of being human. So next time you recall an event, take a step back and ask yourself, how much of this is truly mine? Thanks for watching. Like, comment your thoughts on this topic, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysteries of memory, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more. See you next time.